Good afternoon, my dear group mates and Professor Sheng. Today, I would like to present you my memo 2, and the topic of this week is civil society and the current event memo on the topic of civil society. So here you can see the outline, or in other words, the plan of today's presentation. As you can see, at the beginning, I will give a brief general definition of civil society, the idea of civil society. Then I'll present you the news that I would like to share with you. After presenting the news, we'll discuss the text and the reading that was obligated for this week. I will give two different arguments of civil society. Then, after presenting the civil society two argument, I will give another news, and then we'll make some conclusions. So let's get it started. What is this? What is civil society? At the first glance, hearing about the civil society, it seems that it is very easy to define this term. However, after reading the text presented this week, I realized that this term is not as simple as it seems at the beginning. In general, and the term civil society means bringing together different people into one group to protect their common interest. By entering this union, people hope for the interaction and mutual assistance of other like-minded people. However, the problem with this term is that there are a huge number of different associations that are motivated by one interest. And in today's memo, we'll analyze two pieces of news that will help to prove the civil society paradox described in the article by Michael Foley and Bob Edwards. So let's get it started. The first news that I would like to share was published on June 26 in 2020 on the Crimea news website. The article conveys the words of Yuri Gemmel, who is the chairman of the Committee of the State Council of the Republic of Crimea on the people's diplomacy and the interethnic relations. So he said that that a strong civil society is a key to the development of the state. These words were spoken during a general vote of amendments to the Constitution of the Russian Federation. Gempel also noted that thanks to volunteers and non-profit organizations in the country, many problems are being solved, such as the rights of children in difficult situations, actions for the protection of the environment, as well as many social issues. In conclusion, the chairman of the committee added that the state is increasing its funding of such civil society every year. According to the work of two authors, Michael Foley and Bob Edwards, the civil society argument can be divided into two different families. The first type of civil society was presented by Alexis de Tocqueville in his book called Democracy in America. It is worth noting that he is not the founder of this definition because before him it was mentioned by Scottish moralists like Adam Smith, Adam Ferguson, and Francis Hodgson. According to this type, civil society is integral part of democratic state that helps to development of this country. A more modern and broad definition of civil society one was introduced by Robert Putnam in the article Blowing Alone. In this article, the author writes about the importance of close work between the regional government and civic associations in the example of Northern Italy. The author also refers to Olson's argument saying that a strong society is a key to a strong economy as well as a strong state. Also, in his work, Putnam analyzes the United States of America, criticizing them for the fact that their recession in the economy is due to a weak civil society. In other words, a more civil society is developed in the state, the more this state will develop. Reading this news and analyze it with the text, we see that the experts are right about the definition of civil society. The more civil society develops, the more the economy develops. However, there is a second type of civil society that was presented during the opposition against the Polish communist regime by Jacek Kuron and Adam Michnik. According to them, the civil society is independent sphere of government that is capable of stopping the tyranny regimes of government. In other words, civil society too has a right to freely express its position, and it is not obligated to adapt the regimes of the authorities. The main paradox of the text is that while some experts argue that civil society works together with the state, the second argues that civil society is independent of the state. Here I would like to present the following news that was published on the site Crimea Realin. In this article, we can notice that after Crimea became a part of Russian Federation, civil society was practically destroyed in the by the government, and instead this position was taken by the government puppets. The author writes that this new civil society, instead of supporting the people, on the contrary, suppresses the descendants themselves. The main point of this news is that even despite all these attempts of pressure from the government, there are still those who are fighting against the authoritarian regime of Russia. Although the government is trying to control all sphere of people's life, these oppositionists are slowly and surely awakening the civil society of Crimea to demand the freedom of speech. In other words, even in spite of the strict control by the government, there is a group of people who are fighting against this system, and this group of people call themselves a civil society. And by concluding today's presentation, after reading two different articles and analyzing them according to to this week's reading, I can say that this topic of civil society is so vast in order to give one universal definition of this term. On the one hand, it seems that civil society one is true, but on the other hand, the statement of Jacek Kuran and Adam Michnik about civil society is also true. Personally, I think that more scientific work on this topic needs to be done to give a precise definition. But at this moment, the both of these arguments are true. Thank you for your attention.